Hi, welcome. My name is Richard Gitarsky. I'm the founder of WestreamU. And today it's the 9th of May 2016, and I'm here with my friend Anders Broberg.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Who are you?
Oh, well, I'm head of communication for a company called Stockholm. It's a company owned by the city of Stockholm. And we provide dark fiber network in the region.
Cool. And we have done something.
Yes.
A test,
Yes.
an experiment, a live thing. So
Yes.
let's first start and look at what we did a couple of weeks ago.
Vi har, som ni kanske har märkt, en teckenspråkstolkning. Det är ju för att tillgängliggöra det här evenemanget även för de som inte finns här på plats och som inte har så lätt att höra. Det är inte bara en vanlig teckenspråkstolkning, utan det här är någonting där vi visar också att Kista är fortfarande i framkant. För det som händer här är ett litet tekniskt genombrott, får man ändå säga. Det är ett nytt protokoll, NDI-protokollet, som via Stockholms stadsfiber gör det möjligt att livesända från 2 platser samtidigt utan fördröjning. Och det här får vi till oss tack, och det måste vi faktiskt, jag tycker att det här är fantastiskt, vi måste applådera, men vi ska först säga vem det är. Det är WestreamU och Richard Gatarski som får det här att hända, och Stockholm, jag tycker vi ger dem en varm applåd. Det är ju en slags demokratisering. Istället för dyrt sändningsbuss, dyr infrastruktur, så har vi plötsligt nu ett väldigt lätt sätt att skapa professionell tv-produktion på det här sättet. Det tycker jag är fantastiskt.
That was a little clip with Annette Novak, who is the CEO of the Interactive Institute, Swedish ICT, where we did this original production. And I'm sorry about the subtitling. I did them myself yesterday evening, so the Swinglish in the subtitling is mine. We also have a little clip from the sign interpreted version of that conference. We're just going to look a few seconds from when the Swedish Minister of Industry, Mikael Damberg, is talking with the sign interpreter.
Så ska man nog säga att Sverige just nu har väldigt goda förutsättningar.
So here you can see him on the stage, and this is the original production with sign interpretation, and that's just to illustrate the other thing, what we did. So if we stop that now and return to, or start with the background, how come we did this? Well, I'm from Stockholm and I'm proud of Stockholm. So just a few things. The other week, Bloomberg, if we get the my laptop here on this screen, please, Mr. Producer. There we go. Okay, so actually what I'm showing here on my laptop is wirelessly connected. This laptop here is wirelessly connected to the production machine here over an NDI, which we're going to talk more about. But again, I'm from Stockholm and I'm proud of the city, and I thought this is something new, interesting happening. And it's not that we're going to have the Eurovision Song Contest here in Stockholm. I think the first semi-final is on Saturday, May 10th. But the thing is that it turned out a new protocol, or the NDI, the Network Device Interface, was announced by Newtek last fall. And I think in the beginning of this year, they were started to release the source development, software development kit for others who wanted to use this. And during the NAB show in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, they were actually awarded the best in show for TV technology. And I thought, as a live video production producer, I thought this is something really interesting. I want to do something about that. I'm from Stockholm. We can take video, transfer it over IP networks, but just a gigabit network, and we have something in Stockholm. We have our studio. So I thought we can take our studio and maybe connect this using the NDI technology to somewhere else. And we also have we use a video production software called vMix, which you can see here is NDI compatible. So I think it was in March, vMix was released in a beta version with NDI, so we could start playing with it. And I thought, I have to do something, but what? And we have fiber here, and fiber is very high bandwidth, and Stockholm is best of the world, and that's something. So I sent a text to my friend Anders here and said, "Hi, we have the studio, we have vMix, we have NDI, you have fiber." Let me see. Where did you go? There we are. Sorry, this one is the one. So tell us about the fiber, Anders.
Well, in Stockholm, we see fiber network as a public responsibility, like other infrastructure. So since the beginning of the 90s, the city of Stockholm have built a fiber network, only passive, just the cables, through the whole region, and open up for everyone on equal terms, without tax money, I would say. It's paid by the customer. So today, a lot of people are using it. 90% of the household, about 100% of the company have fiber in the basement, so they can use it. And the cost, you can choose between or 100 operators using the network. So we have a lot of broadband, high capacity. So the normal price right now for 1 gig up and down is about 20 to 30, 40 euro per month. So we have a lot of fiber, so I thought it could be easy to connect what you want.
Yes, I hoped so too. If we can get the map back here on the screen. So this is like Stockholm, and if we can take this in the production.
Yes.
The sort of the yellow part there is
the municipal of Stockholm, and the green more is the region of Stockholm. So we have a very dense network in the municipality, in the where most of the half of the population is living, and then we have more backbone network in the region in that case.
Yeah, and it's how many? What's the coverage of the fiber in Stockholm?
The coverage is about 90% of the household have fiber in the basement, and nearly 100% of the company have fiber in the buildings.
Yeah. You mentioned basement there, and we're gonna
Yes.
return soon to
Yes.
the basement. I'm sorry, this is a quick and dirty production. So the producer here, Carl Danielsson, he is working like a madman, and the rundown was finished about 10 minutes ago. So I'm sorry about the confusion and the kind of experiment we do with documentation here, but hopefully it's you're gonna get the whole points. So you had the fiber, and we had this idea, and I asked you if you can figure something out, and you found something, right?
Yes, I found
Sorry, March 30 was when I got the idea and texted you. And then we met here in the studio on the 1st of April to sort of, what can we do? And then you went home. And then, what happened then?
Then I thought about what type of production could be interesting in quite close in the time. And one was the jubileum. This Kista Science City was celebrating 30 years and have a great seminar in Kista, who's sub area to Stockholm, and it will have this seminar with focus on what the future is and what's happened this 30 years and what can I learn. So it could be interesting, and then also because Annette Novak, who you saw as the moderator, also is right now the responsible for the Swedish government to look how will the media landscape look in the future. So I think it could be quite interesting for her to see what you can do with new technology, talking about media and so on.
Yeah, and there was a half-day seminar
Yes.
In the morning. Mikael Damberg, the Swedish Minister of Industry, was there, and the Finance Commissioner of Stockholm, Karin Vangård, was there, and
the mayor.
Ericsson's Research Director, Sara Mazur, and some other prominent guests. A lot of speakers and a lot of panels. And originally, you should because you do live stream productions too.
Yes, I'm a little bit beside. I'm a fancy or like it. So, from the beginning, they haven't thought about live streaming at all. And then I say, of course, we need to live stream it. And I thought, well, I take my 2 cameras and do something. And yes, that way it's
okay. So, and then we decided we could do the production instead there. But the thing is, what should we use the studio for?
Yes.
And then since we've been working with sign interpretation over from remote locations for live cast, I thought that was a cool thing. And we're going to return to that later on, the sign interpretation part. But so now we have the idea and we had a thing we should do, and then we needed to test the technology.
Yes.
So you found some routers?
Well, we have in our network we have since.
It's too early.
Okay.
It's too early for this car.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay,
We should talk about this later.
Okay.
So
what I say that the normal thing when you have a fiber network is you renting out the fiber to an operator who will provide you with broadband for 3, 5, or 10 years or something like this. But some years ago, the Swedish television was come to us, a guy there at the Granberg, and asked for, could we rent fiber in the street to produce sport event outside? And we have never thought about it. And this is another story, but this finally end up to we now have what we call event fiber. You can rent fiber connection in very short time. You can rent it for 1 day or 2 weeks or something like this. So it's a pure product we have. So I thought it will be no problem to find and set up a fiber connection from your studio to the Kista Science City in the buildings there.
Yep, great. And then you fixed some switches.
Yes, we normally don't have that, but we have our IT department give me 2 the switches are needed for this just to.
Because the ISP we use here at the WestreamU, it's not a fiber connection, so
no. Well, they have fiber to the basement.
But sort
yes.
of the lease or whatever you call it that we have for our ISPs.
Yes.
Just a TP cable down to the basement.
Yes.
So we had to figure out how do we connect our studio with the fiber network.
Yes.
So what on April the 22nd, you came here and we went down to the basement and we tried to sort of find how is the cable coming up into the studio.
If you could be able to patch from the fiber in the basement up to the studio directly.
Yeah. You should have seen us then when we sort of walked around in the basement and tried to figure out how to do the thing. Anyway, we fixed that, and I also did a concept test here in the studio. Actually, that was a few days earlier on the 19th, and there is a video. I'm going to show a clip here if you want to see that. I sort of documented just to figure out if the fiber connection over NDI would work. Do we have any audio on this one? No, so I'm just going to talk over. So this is how it looked in the studio at that time. I had those 2 switches and they were connected with a fiber. I think you can see the blue of the cable here. That's sort of the fiber connection between those switcher. And that was what we later on was going to replace with 19 kilometers of fiber between here and Stockholm. And so we knew it's in theory would work with a fiber connection. Yes. We knew that we could get our studio here connected to the fiber connection in the basement. The thing we didn't know is how we should pick that up at Kista, the venue where this event was going to take place. And you tried to find someone.
Yes, because this is a big house with a lot of things in the house, and the fiber was in the building in one place, but the seminar was in another place in the building. So, but this was this location for seminar was owned by the university.
Yep.
So we figure out at the end that some guy responsible for all connection in the university come and help us. I thought. They have some. He make the connection from the basement where the fiber was incoming up to the third floor, I think, and then down over and then down to the, the location where the seminar was. So,
but I also should mention that the event was taking place on the 28th of April, and on the 26th we sort of got in contact with the owner of the building, so we can get access to figure out how we could sort of patch the few 100 meters from where Stockholm's fiber came into to the actual auditorium or the aula in Kista. Knew what was going to happen. So we were out there on the 26th and sort of figured out. Took a couple of hours. There was a fiber cable missing, so the guy had to run downtown Stockholm to find it. And then on late on the evening on April 27th, the day before the event, we sort of got the last meter connected, and I could try that. It was probably going to work. And the next day we did it. Actually, I took here, I'm not sure if we took a look at that before, but this is from Google Map. So we're downtown Stockholm right here. Right now we're here. And Kista, where the event was taking place, is not here, right?
Up. Zoom out. There. Yeah, right.
There. Up here somewhere. So the fiber connection between those places. That's sort of the geographical distance. Okay, and also should mention that when I did this concept test and published that video on the YouTube, I was contacted by 2 Norwegian guys and said, we already did that. And I thought, what? And that's 2 guys who run a small business in Norway called Nolson Entertainment. They do a lot of live streams, live casts, and let's see if we can get them up here. So this is how they look like. It's Håvard Njastad and Sondre Njastad. And what they did before we even had the concept tested, I think, they did used NDI over a VPN network. So they had a fiber connection at one location, and then on the public internet via NDI, they transmitted their, it was an esport event, so they sent the esport output down to another town in Norway, where they had 2 commentators who watched the event, and then the commentator was sent back via NDI. And I think they used, or what they've told me is that they used a 20 megabit per second VPN tunnel. So, and there was not much movement in those images, but the thing is, it was not using a city fiber network like Stockholm, but the sort of the NDI end connection was over the public network, which is a really interesting use case. And again, it's free stuff. They used a VPN software called Share Ethernet that you can, that's an open source thing you can download and use for free. I'm not sure if for our production that bandwidth would have been sufficient, but I think it's really promising, and I thank you those guys for doing this. So let's look at the network setup. We have an image. I made a quick sketch this morning how it looked like. So if we can get it out on the television screen here in the studio, we have an ISP called Stockholm Stadsnät, which has a fiber connection down here somewhere, but we only have a TP cable coming out of that with 100 megabit per second.
In both directions.
In both directions. So we connected that to our little router down in the basement, and then we ran a traditional TP cable up here to the studio. Again, it's about a gigabit over that TP cable, and a switch here, or a router here. So we get connected to the production unit here in WeStudio U. And the switch in the router in the basement was also connected to a Cisco WS3560 CG8 PC/-S switch, which sort of takes in TP connections and connect it with a similar or the same type of switch switch And then we had this 19 kilometers fiber network, Stockholm's fiber network, which is normally for long distance with fiber, you weld the connections, but
No, not we do.
No.
We always have a lot of patches because it's been more flexible, but it's another story. So
Yeah, we skip that.
yeah, yes.
But there is about 10 patches on the way. So given that, it was really good that it worked because each patch takes a little bit loss in.
Yes, in the laser to the signal in that case. Another case, because it's only 19 kilometers, it's not so problem. When you go on 190 kilometers, it's a big problem.
And then that went up with a TP cable from a little room here. That's where the fiber ended down here. And then we had a TP cable patch up here to the production. And we actually have also the next slide here, or the image. If we can get that. This is how it looked in our basement. So here's where the fiber is coming. Let me see here. Here's where the connection from our ISP goes into the switch,
Yes.
and from the switch to our router, and from our router up to the studio here, and also the fiber cable that's going out to Stockholm's network, if I got
Yes.
that right.
Yes.
Yep. I'm not a network guy, so trying to do my best. Yeah, and we also have a little clip. The next clip is from how it looked behind the scenes on the production in Kista Nord. If we can roll that clip, Carl. So I took this with my Samsung Galaxy smartphone. So this is Saga Glauser who is producing. And you actually, Anders, were down on the floor with a wireless camera and taking audience shots and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Was it fun?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it was
never done it before, so
Whenever it works, it's fun.
Yes.
And then we did both. I'm gonna return to that soon. This is just the live player showing, in this case, the sign interpreted version. And the production that was made here, and the production that was made out in Kista, and the production that was made here in studio, they were live casted on 23 Video.
yes.
Live video hosting service.
Yes.
And they were sort of transmitted from the studio connection, from the ISP, our
Yes.
ISP up.
Yes.
So that was not over fiber, it was just the fiber between these
Yes.
two
Yes.
locations. Let me see what's next behind in Kista. Yeah, we two more things that we should bring up here, and the next thing is the sign interpretation, a little bit about the background and how we did that. And I did yesterday afternoon, I did another quick and dirty production. So it's about an 8 minutes, it's actually 8 minutes and 43 seconds. So if you're not interested in the sign interpretation part of this, you can just fast forward to our conclusions here with sort of what's next after this. But let's roll the interview with Johnny, please. Okay, so let's see if we have Johnny Christensen in Örebro with us via Skype. Johnny, are you there?
Yes, hello Richard. Sitting in my kitchen in Örebro, hope that's okay for you. Nice to see you again, Richard.
Absolutely, it's nice to see you too. And I'm sorry to taking your Sunday afternoon for this. So we started together in 2010 to develop new solutions for doing live sign interpretation of webcasts on the assignment from the Swedish Disabilities Federation. And we used your studios in Örebro for that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Back in 2010, we started experimenting, try to parallel broadcast accessible conferences and other events.
Yeah. Yeah, so you do both live sign interpretation and live audio descriptions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I sometimes I say we do television from from blind and deaf people for blind and deaf people. Okay, and one of the problems we had is that when we work with you for remote live signing is that there's a delay when we stream. So we create a production, and when you take in the stream in Örebro, which is perhaps between 5 and 30 seconds latency delayed when it comes to your studio in Örebro, and then if we had this idea, if we can use your sign interpreters so they can be shown as well at the venue where we are doing production in Stockholm or Gothenburg or some other city, that would mean that the delay would be maybe 15 or up to a minute, and that's not viable in a real situation, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So there we had a problem actually. Even though we were doing a event accessible and broadcasted it accessible, we still needed to have interpreters on site also.
Yeah. But now we have NDI, and now we have done some interesting things. So we got some pictures because you were here in the studio at the event, and we have some pictures. And you you took some pictures with your iPhone. So let's look at the first one here. Can you describe for us what we see here?
Yeah, we see Karin Hatne in front of the camera doing interpretation, and down on the right side is Cecilia Arnfeldt, and she's at this moment acting as supporting interpreter, and at the same time she's supporting Karin. She have a good view of the live stream on the monitor she sit in front of, and then there are another monitor. It's the same on that monitor that Karin looks at, and the camera is placed quite close to that, so she has a good eye contact with viewers also.
So, and why do you need two interpreters?
It's quite crucial that we have an supporting interpreter, and then if it's a longer event as this was, they need to change. It varies, but every 15 or 30 minutes they change. So 15 minutes into the broadcast, Cecilia is the main interpreter, and Karin is acting as supporting interpreter.
Okay, and then on your next wonderful picture we can see someone else.
Yeah, and there we have Kalle Danielsson, who was who did all the mastering with cameras and did kept the whole production together during the broadcast also.
Yeah. And then vMix, the production software that Carl is using here, or we using, we don't have any real screenshot of how it looks like, or looked like. Sorry, but you took a picture of that as well. So that's the third picture we can see here. And I'm going to try to explain the inputs we have here, what we have on them. So on the first one here, we can see the feed we're getting from Kista. And on the second one, this is the camera of the sign interpreter in the studio with the chroma key. The background is chroma keyed out. And then in the third module, we combine the feed with the sign interpreters for the viewers on the web. In the fourth module, we made another combination of another background with a sign interpreter, and that was what we sent over to Kista, so the audience there could see the sign interpreter only, because they don't need to see what they already see on stage, so to speak. And here in the fifth input, because we had here, as you can see in the sixth input here, if we take the on the other input here, Nelly. You can see down here to the left, we had a camera in the studio as well. So if we go back here in the fifth input, we combined the sign interpreter with a picture of the studio, and that was just initially to show the audience in up in Kista how it looked like in the studio. So that's the setup. How did it work out, Johnny, do you think?
It was quite fascinating to see that during the event, of course, where me and Kalle was, we could see the screen with the interpreters at Kista, and it was really no delay at all. So it was like we had interpreters on site there. So that was quite fascinating to see that it was no delay what I could see at all. So it was like we were on site, but we weren't there.
Yeah, that was great. So, and the sign interpreters, they're kind of experienced. They've been doing this for a number of years. So not this, but for broadcast television and for webcast. Did they say anything? Did they like it? Did it work for them?
Yeah. Before the event started, they understood that they were going to be displayed on site also, and they were quite skeptical before we started, because they thought that there were going to be delays, but later on they saw it was, when they waved, it was quite directly. It was just like they were in the room. So they were also surprised that it went so well.
No, I was more than surprised. I was impressed that it worked so well.
Yeah.
Okay, Johnny, thank you very much for joining me here today in the studio. So now get out in the Swedish fantastic summer, which I guess you have in Örebro as well.
Yeah, exactly like you have in Stockholm. So you too, out in the summer, and have a nice day. Thank you, Richard.
Will do. Bye-bye. Cheers. Well, that was Johnny. Johnny said that there was no delay, and sort of it was actually a slight delay. I think it's maybe a third of a second or something like that. So let's look at the clip again from the sign interpreted version of the cast, where you also can see the sign interpreter in the on stage up in Kista. So as you can, if we stop that video momentarily, Carl, thanks. And get it up here. I'm sorry about this quick and dirty production, but it's like almost everything in this project, not that too long-term planning. So if when we roll this again, if you look at the hand movement of the sign interpreter here, what you see here is the recording from the live stream. Or actually, that's what's sent out for the live stream with the sign interpreter. And I'm not sure if we talked about that before, but we also took another chroma key combination with the sign interpreter on a white background and sent that back up to Kista and projected that on the screen there. And you can see if we roll it again, Carl, you can see that there is a slight delay between what she's doing in the studio here and what's shown up on the stage there. And actually, since this is a recording of a recording, I'm trying to, this is takes a lot of mind thinking, where's the delay coming from, what's happening here? So I think one part of the day, because NDI tells us that it's practically no delay, maybe one frame or something like that, and maybe here it's 3 or 4 frames, but also the recording that's done here needs, it's some delay when it goes into vMix, and then it's transmitted up to Kista. That's maybe 1 frame, and then there's, since this is filmed on with the camera on the stage up there, so there's another frame induced here. So I think it's because it's a kind of a loop, which adds up to maybe those 2 or 3 frames. And that wasn't a problem for us at this test, because this sync problem with sign language, it's doesn't matter. Maybe it's a different case if you're working with cameras, and lip sync in audio is very important. But I wanted to mention this, and we didn't have time to do any measurements regarding lattice and check things out, because we didn't have time for that up in Kista. But this is a good start. So let's bring us up to the final details. What's next? What do you think, Anders?
I think it's two-directional, path. One is to figure out VPN production. If you can have really, for example, 1 gigabit VPN tunnels through the open public network. I think, unfortunately, it's quite costly equipment you need to have that type of VPN, but that's one path. The other is that if you look for the City of Stockholm, by the organization by themselves, City of Stockholm have connect different administration, schools, and things, sport arenas, and so over 3,500 addresses in the city. And they also have an active network, IP network, and that. So you could create an NDI network in this network, so you can use wherever you want to broadcast. You can use a port in the switch to use it and broadcast and using this. So I think, for example, it could be schools who have production between the schools. It could be dialogue for the citizens, talking with a politician in the city hall or things simultaneously over different places. It could also be service for all this who playing different sports to broadcast their sports and to tournament and so on. So it's, well, normally it's the fantasy, so it's a limit. But I think the most easy is to set up this type of NDI network inside the City of Stockholm's active network.
Yeah. And of course, we're thinking too what we can do with this. I mean, here in the studio with the sort of consumer grade switches we have, it's no problem. And we've seen now that we can do it with the Stockholm network if we have other locations here in Stockholm, and probably other cities as well. That's one thing we're going to test, to run fiber between cities. But also, and as I said earlier, we use it today here to connect. NDI is used here to connect my laptop to the switcher or to the producing unit here. So it's a lot of opportunities.
Yes, I think it's also for a company like you. If you get a long contract period, contract with some producing something happen every month or something, you could able to rent dark fiber for that and remotely product this without going to the site. The Swedish television is doing this in the parliament, for example, but not with NDI technology. So I think it could open up a new type of production.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It is actually doing that right now. So I want to thank you, Anders and Stockholm, for helping us with that.
And thank you for you're willing to test this. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun. It was great. Not so much money in the short run, but I think we all learn, and it's nice to share. And of course, we would like to thank NewTech and NDI for letting this free. The basic stuff is free, and if we look at the on my laptop here again, Carl, they have a set of tools here on the web, so you can download and try the different parts. They have something called NDI Connect, an isocorder. It's connected. It's used in Adobe Creative Cloud too. You can transmit video, and there is a telestrator you can buy if you want to add graphics, and there's a tools pack and AirSense, a lot of stuff. And again, vMix, the software we're using, it has built-in support for NDI already. So if you have vMix, NDI is free on vMix. So it's a lot of great stuff. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please give them to us. There's going to be a link on the video where you can find more information and ask questions and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Oh.
Okay. Take care out there.
Right.
Have fun. Bye-bye.